Hi, welcome to Amanda's Book Corner. I'm Amanda, and this is my review of Woman of Light by Fajardo-Anstine. This book isn't scheduled for publication until June 7th, 2022, but I was really happy when NetGalley approved me for an ARC of this. I was really excited to read it. This book follows multiple generations of a Latinx indigenous family or Chicano family, and the bulk of the book is set in the early 1930s in Denver, Colorado. The main character is Luz, which means light in Spanish, and she's known as Little Light among her family and friends. And she lives with her aunt and her brother Diego. Luz is a tea reader, and she also works as a laundress, and her brother is a snake charmer. Early in the book, Diego has a horrible encounter with some other people, and he's forced to leave town, move to another state, and he leaves behind his sister and his aunt and his community there in Denver, Colorado. With Diego gone, and with it his income that helps support the family, Luz looks for ways that she can make more money, and she ends up working as a secretary for a man who has started a lawyer practice. Over the course of several months, almost a year, we watch as Luz grows up. She turns 18 at this time, and she's really finding herself, and not only discovering what her path forward might be, but also reconnecting with her family and having visions of what her previous generations went through. So in addition to the main story, which follows Luz in the 1930s, we also get flashbacks to her ancestors, going back to her grandparents Pedre and Simo de Sea, and following what they went through in the late 1800s and into the early 1900s. Theirs is an interesting story, and I really do enjoy that part of the book. We also get to see a little bit of what Luz's parents' generation went through, what her mother and what her aunt Maria Josefina went through. It's a little bit difficult to describe the plot of Woman of Light because it's not a very clear-cut and obvious plot. It almost plays out more like a slice of life. We're following Luz, and she doesn't have any clear direction. There's more of a goal with her cousin Lisette, who is engaged to get married, and she's really looking forward to her wedding. She's saving up and trying to make the wedding of her dreams come true, despite her financial limitations. But Luz, she doesn't really have a clear direction throughout the story. I mean, she does miss her brother Diego, and she is trying to do well as a secretary, but there isn't any clear passion behind what she's doing, and there isn't really a clear goal that she has. The plot isn't super obvious while reading, although I would say that by the end of the book, it does feel like it comes together and creates a clear narrative. But even so, I've had a hard time describing the book to other people. Despite that though, I actually did really enjoy this book. Although I wasn't always sure what the plot was or what the goal of the characters were, I did actually enjoy reading it. I thought it was very immersive and beautifully written, and I really liked getting to know these different characters and a different type of character than what I've normally read in books. I was looking forward to getting a different perspective on the Latinx and indigenous communities in the United States, and especially the southern United States, because I haven't really read much literature around people from this area. As this book describes, these characters do speak Spanish, and the older generations describe themselves as being from the Lost Territory. This book doesn't define exactly what the Lost Territory is. My assumption is that it is what is now the Southwest United States, so Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, California, into Colorado. That's what my assumption is. I'm not sure if the official publication of the book will include a map, although I do think it could be helpful if it did. But in any case, I did enjoy getting to know these characters' culture and their histories and the kind of experiences they had from generation to generation. One theme that was very present throughout the book is the kind of racism that the characters face. This book is set in the 1930s, and so the characters do face a lot of overt racism. We see how racism plays into the legal system and how, for example, a person who was beaten to death by cops, the cops get away with it because they just say, oh yeah, he just fell down, it's his own fault, he died, whatever. But we know that it was a racially motivated attack. We also see instances of the KKK walking around town and how they terrorize the people that live within town and how they might have played a role in Diego and the horrible event that took place with him before he left town. Another example is when Luz wants to get a better job. And so the area where she lives, which is where people of her community and other marginalized communities live, they don't have very many jobs available and they don't pay very well. And so she tries to get a job in a more affluent area of town. Of course, this is where all the white people are, and they're racist and they won't even allow her to apply for jobs there. So it's a horrible thing seeing what they're going through. This racism might look more obvious back then in the 1930s and farther back in time as well. But honestly, living now in the 21st century, we can still see how much racism and bigotry there is within our country and around the world. And so it's horrible to see how little progress we've made. There has been some progress on that front, but honestly not nearly enough. We're also watching Luce as she gets to know who she is within a romantic relationship. Prior to this, I don't think she's dated anyone, and during the course of this novel, we watch as she starts a relationship with one man who I think is a very nice and good person for her, but how there seems to be a disconnect with her and how she has feelings for another person that she has known for a long time. So it does create a bit of a love triangle, and I've said before, I'm not a fan of love triangles, but in this case, we see how it causes problems for Luce and how I think it is overall a learning experience for her. She's still 18 when this happens, and so she has a ways to go to figure out who she is and what she wants in life, what she wants in a relationship. So it kind of feels like a coming of age and someone who's growing into herself. But at the same time, we see as her cousin is already settled into a romantic relationship and is completely ready to settle down with this other guy, Alfonso, and get married to him. So we can see like the differences between these two cousins who are about the same age and the different stages of life that they're in despite that. In addition to those themes, I did really enjoy how it was written. Like I said, it's beautifully written, and I love the descriptions of the peoples and the landscapes and the towns that they live in. I think I read in a note at the beginning of this e-arc that the writing plays out like a movie. You can really see it in your mind when you read it, and I would say that's completely true. It did play out very vividly in my mind as I read it, like a movie playing in my mind. And so I did feel like it was very immersive and an enjoyable read. Even though I didn't entirely know what was happening or what I should have been expecting to happen, I found it to be an enjoyable read overall. So I really enjoyed Woman of Light overall. In the end, I gave it 4 stars. This is Callie Fajardo-Anstine's first novel. However, she previously published a book called Sabrina and Karina, which is a collection of short stories. I haven't yet read it, but I've heard wonderful things about it, so I do plan to go back and read that at some point in the near future. She's definitely an author whose writing I enjoy, and I'd be happy to read more from her in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this book review video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And to make sure you don't miss any more of my videos, please ring the bell to get all my notifications. I'll be publishing at least 1 or 2 book review videos every week, and in addition to that, I put out other videos of fun content at least once a week. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!